The monotonous life of a teacher changes dramatically when a new student appears in her class. The guy is young and hot, and there is an immediate sympathy between them. The woman tries to overcome her attraction. However, this only contributes to the rapprochement of the couple. They actively spend time alone and have fun in places where they can be caught by strangers. It's Emily recaps. Watch until the end, as a woman skillfully combines her personal and family life, hiding the new relationship from her husband. Enjoy the movie. The movie begins with Lana having fun in bed with her family. The heroine's daughter and husband draw different symbols on her back. Lana tries to guess what exactly they are depicting. Before work, she runs in the woods. Sports are not easy for her. Lana is resting by the shore of the lake. The heroine works as a teacher in high school. In her class transferred a new student, Benny. At the beginning of the lesson, the woman hands out tests on her subject to the class. Everyone except Benny begins to diligently complete the assignment. Benny doesn't even look at the test. All of the boys' attention is focused on the teacher. Lana notices that the new kid is not doing the assignment, but doesn't say anything to him. The guy studies his teacher. When their gazes collide, Lana averts her eyes. After work, the woman picks up her daughter from school. The girl is happy about the end of the school day and jumps into her mother's arms. Lana carries the little girl to the car. Putting her daughter in the back seat, the woman takes the driver's seat. Suddenly, across the street, she sees her student. Benny is walking his dog. The daughter impatiently asks when they're going to drive, but Lana doesn't answer right away. The woman glares at the boy. The next day, Lana's students prepared presentations on the topic of the lesson. A student presented his work in front of the class. His classmates were not interested in the topic he was covering. The girls were looking at their phones and laughing loudly. Lana reprimanded them, but it didn't help. The girls continued to undermine the teacher's authority. The woman asked the girls to leave the classroom. One of the blondes began to bicker with her. However, Lana was not going to tolerate the neglect of her lesson. The student walked out of the classroom. Lana and Benny's gazes crossed again. All the time the teacher had been talking to his classmate. The boy had been sitting with a serious face. Now, something in his gaze confused the teacher. During recess, Lana was drinking coffee in the teacher's lounge. She looked out the window to gather her thoughts. In the parking lot in front of the school was Benny and that blonde girl who had been sassing her in class. The guys were fighting. Benny had emptied the contents of the girl's bag and broken her bike. His behavior alerted Lana. A little later, the woman decided to talk about the new guy with her coworker. Lana thought that the guy was a bit strange, however. The colleague had the opposite opinion. After class, Lana decided to talk to Benny himself. She caught him in the hallway and offered him privacy in his office. After closing the doors, the woman began to ask the guy about his life in the new school. To support the student, Lana touched his knee. The gesture brought a smile to the boy's face. Lana realized that their conversation was not going according to plan and hurriedly left. At home, the woman checked the student's tests. Benny's work caught her attention. The boy was clearly having trouble with her lesson. Her daughter distracted her mother from her work, but the woman kept thinking about her student. In the morning, Lana went jogging again. Her route ended at the lake. The heroine enjoyed the view from the shore. She loved this time when she could be alone with her thoughts. After the end of another workday, the woman was going home. A backpack left by one of the students caught her eye. Lana decided to look inside to see whose it was. Inside, the woman found a t-shirt. The item smelled like Benny's deodorant. Lana inhaled its scent and put the t-shirt back in her backpack. When the woman turned around, she noticed the door to the classroom was open. If someone walked by, they would surely notice what she was doing. The thought roused the woman. Lana went to the restroom to clean herself up. The smell of a guy made Lana think of Benny as something other than a student. The heroine shut the restroom door tightly and rinsed her mouth. When Lana looked in the mirror again, Benny was standing next to her. The boy decided to get to know his teacher better. Without shyness, he started groping her melons and kissed her neck. The student's actions were driving the woman crazy. When Benny wanted to kiss the woman on the lips, she came to her senses. Lana pushed the boy away. She explained that such a thing was not acceptable between a teacher and a student. The heroine tried to run away from the guy's dangerous proximity. Benny admitted that he saw her in the office and also feels attraction to the teacher. Lana made some excuses and left. At night, the woman remembered the guy's brazen and confident movements as he touched her body. The next day, Lana pleased the class with an independent work. Her thoughts were far from the class. The woman noticed that Benny was ignoring the assignment again. While the lesson lasted, The boy kept looking at Lena. At recess, Benny caught up with the teacher in the school hallway. He said he'd like to study with her extra. The woman was embarrassed. Benny was persistent in what he wanted. Early in the parking lot, Lena saw scratches on her car. She looked around but didn't see anyone. The woman felt nervous. Lena drove over to pick up her daughter. The student's words wouldn't leave her mind. Hurrying her daughter, she went to the car. The woman's attention was drawn to a group of school children. One of them looked a lot like Benny at home. The woman was transplanting plants. Her husband noticed a scratch on the car, but the heroine did not know how it appeared and who left it. At school, Lena handed out verified tests to the students. She was ready to discuss their work and waited for questions. It seemed appropriate for Benny to talk about his concerns in front of the class. The boy was flirting rudely with the teacher. This made the woman angry. To hooting and laughter, Lana kicked the guy's backpack out of the classroom. She asked Benny himself to leave too. The boy was upset by this outcome. The mood in the class changed. The students sensed the teacher's weakness. After one of the Nikes threw a notebook at the blackboard, Lana decided to end the lesson. In the morning, when the woman went out for a run, she couldn't escape the feeling of being watched. Lena stopped in the middle of the forest to look around. However, there was not a soul around. At home, the heroine was reading a book to her daughter. Their occupation was interrupted by a phone call. When Lena picked up the phone, the caller on the other end of the line was silent. The woman hung up, but the phone rang again. The daughter asked who was calling them so early in the morning. The heroine replied that the phone was broken. After taking her daughter to school, Lena went to work. Before entering the classroom, the woman lingered for a few minutes. Through the open door, she looked at Benny. The boy was bored. Lena couldn't muster up the resolve to go inside after what had happened the day before. She went to the receptionist and asked for a replacement. The woman cited illness so she wouldn't be embarrassed in front of the class. The husband was surprised to catch his wife cooking so early. Later, the woman went to the dock. She gnawed on an apple and thought about her life. Lena remembered the photo exhibit she was going to go to and decided not to put it off for the future. While contemplating a photo of some girl, the heroine felt someone's gaze on her. She turned around and saw Benny. The guy also, like her, was fond of photography. Lena wanted to avoid meeting the student. She hurriedly moved to the far hall. However, the guy followed her. When the woman stopped near one of the photos, Benny stood behind her back. Lena found it hard to bear the guy's proximity. She ran away from him again. Walking down the stairs, the heroine noticed her student at the bottom. Benny was looking for her. The woman went back up to the floor and called the elevator. As she pressed the floor button, someone held the elevator doors open. It was Benny. He stepped into the elevator and looked into the teacher's eyes. Lana stepped back. The woman's breathing hitched. The guy asked how long she was going to avoid him. Lena remained silent. Benny circled the oval of her face with his finger and fondled her melons. The woman moved closer to kiss the guy. However, he stopped her and continued fondling her melons. Lena surrendered to her desires. She was strongly attracted to Benny. The student helped the woman to release tension in the elevator. Returning home, the heroine for a long time did not dare to get out of the car. She saw her husband and daughter arrive after a bike ride. Having gathered courage, Lana nevertheless entered the house. She poured herself a glass of wine and watched her daughter jumping on the trampoline in the garden. Then the woman decided to share her fears with her husband. She visualized them as a dream in which the ocean pulls her into the depths. No one can help her get out. This terrifies the woman. In the morning, she runs in the woods. Reaching the lake, Lena throws a flat pebble across the water. The heroine comes to work early. Instead of going to class, she makes her way to the secretary's office. The woman wants to get rid of her obsession with her student. The best solution for her is to frame him. Lena steals the tests from the safe and heads to the locker room. Watching the students, the woman finds the guy's outerwear. She hastily stuffs the tests into his pocket. Meanwhile, Benny sits in the cafeteria with his girlfriends and stares out the window. In the evening, a woman looks at her husband who has just gotten out of the shower. She walks over to him to stifle the guilt she feels. That incident in the elevator was the only time she succumbed to temptation. The woman blamed herself for her weakness. There was a meeting in the teacher's lounge in the morning. Through the window, Lena spotted Benny being escorted out of the building. Her plan had worked. The heroine's mood improved. She was glad that she was able to stop in time and not ruin her life. Later, the heroine is having fun with her husband at the lake. They plunge into the cool water on a bed. When Lana dives out of the water, her husband disappeared somewhere. The heroine panics. The husband jumped out in front of her. Lena cried out and woke up. Her fears turned into nightmares. After a while, the woman sits in a classroom. The students are busy doing independent work. Benny's seat is empty. The heroine remembered the insolent look of the guy and what they were doing at the exhibition. After work, the woman went with her daughter to the bookstore. The girl wanted a toy, while her mother insistently offered her a book. The heroine got angry and decided that it was time for them to leave the store, but the girl did not follow her. Lena searched for the little girl without success. She asked the security guard to watch the surveillance video. When the woman saw her daughter, her former student was also standing on the video. The woman was terrified. Suddenly, her phone rang. Her husband told her that the girl had been brought home. Lena told him the girl had been found and hurried home. Over dinner, the family discussed what had happened at the store. Everyone was happy that the situation had been resolved safely. During the night, Lena woke up to strange noises. The bedroom window appeared to be open. She remembered the pleasant time she had spent with her student. In the morning, the woman indulged in fantasies again. Her husband called out to her. Lena wanted him to take active action towards her, but the man just hugged the heroine. Lena drove to the house where Benny lived. She saw a guy in a helmet get on a scooter. It was her student. The woman followed him. To get rid of her feelings, Lena decided to get rid of Benny. But having made a decisive step, the heroine changed her mind. She got out of the car and went to the guy. Write in the comments, what ways do you know to get rid of obsessive thoughts? This was the movie De Lurling 2015. See you in the following videos.